Imagine embarking on an unforgettable journey through the heart of Italy, where every turn is a new treasure and every moment is filled with beauty and culture. You start your adventure in Rome, the eternal city. Next, you venture into the rolling hills of Tuscany, where the air is perfumed with the scent of vineyards and olive grove. The journey continues to Venice, the floating city of canals and gondolas, after Five Earth and Milan. But your Italian adventure doesn't end on land. It's about to get even more extraordinary. A magical journey through Italy, topped off with a house music festival on Costa Cruise. Dance under the stars, relax in style, and discover exclusive performances on deck, all while sailing to some of the most beautiful destinations. There are 3 packages to choose from. Sailing dates are from September 24th through the 28th, 2025. Book yours now at festivaloncruise.com.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Heidi's house. This is your host, Queen Bee Heidi B. And today's featured guest is none other than DJ, artist, music producer, Jihad Muhammad. I am so excited to hear more about his house music journey. So, are you ready? Then, let's go. So, here he is. Jihad Muhammad is in the house.
Hey. How are you?
So happy now that we are able to have this little interview here. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Everything is fine over here. Thanks for asking.
Yes, I know that you've been busy and traveling back and forward and so on. So
Yeah.
obviously it's a hectic for sure, the
Yes.
everyday
Yes.
life with your profession and everything. And that makes it even more special that you have taken this moment to chat with us here at Heidi's
hmm
House podcast.
Okay.
So thank you again. And as I mentioned before we started the interview, that this is kind of like a snapshot kind of interview, and every featured guest is either a DJ, house music artist,
hmm
radio personality, maybe event organizer or promoter, somehow house related influencer.
hmm
And this podcast is a global, so we have people joining in from all over the world
Oh,
and
nice.
sharing on their house music journey. So
Nice.
that's wonderful. We kind of want to bring up the global house music community more out there, and to network with people and spread the beautiful message of house music, obviously.
Right. Good, good, good.
Wonderful. So since this is a short kind of interview, I'm gonna just run straight into our first question, which is kind of unnecessary in one way when it comes to well-known artists and DJs, producers like yourself. But
hmm
still, I like to ask to hear it in your own words. Who
hmm
is Jihad Muhammad?
Wow. I am a young man born and raised in Newark, New Jersey. Um, Born and raised here all my life. As far as how I evolved into the DJ producer, as you know, we have a lot of talent here in Newark, New Jersey, when it comes to house music. Tony Humphreys, uh, Blaze, Kerry Chandler, Adiva. I mean, you name it, they're here. Kenny Bobian. So, my influence into house was Tony Humphreys on the radio. Between Tony Humphreys and Timmy Registry. And I listened to a lot of Tony's mix shows coming up. And he was the one that was the most influential when it came to me wanting to be a DJ.
Mm.
Yeah. And of
Wonderful.
course, his legendary club in North Zanzibar, you know,
Oh, yeah,
that was, the epicenter of, New Jersey. New York had the garage and we had Zanzibar here.
true. I have a lot of friends, my fellow househeads there, and in
Hmm.
Jersey, and I always said that, next time when I come to States, I truly need to, spend time there as well and visit the locations,
Right,
which
right,
are
right,
well known like Zanzibar and so forth, to have that kind of feel of the culture itself and to have, really more or less hands-on vibes, because
right.
I've all the time heard those stories. I have had DJs here who've been playing, for instance, over there or
Hmm.
so forth, and I'm just like getting excited already from the stories, and I
Right.
just can't wait to experience that one day by myself.
Yeah, you should come over and hang out with us.
Yeah, house party. So, those were your early influences. Now, if I think about going back in time, when
Hmm.
was it that you really got into house music and
Wow.
DJ? Like, do you remember the early moments or memories? What?
1982, maybe 1983, around that time. Right before it was actually called house music. Because for
Mm,
me, for us here, it wasn't house music all the time. It was more danceable R&B music, So then it morphed over into house with the whole Chicago style of house, the records that were coming into the record stores here from Chicago. Um, then it became, what is currently called house music now. But for me, it started, for me wanting to mix music together, 1980, between 1982 and 1983.
yeah, it's been a while. It's been a
It's been a
while.
long time. Yeah, that I'm showing my
Beautiful.
age with that right there.
No, I absolutely respect that, and I'm just thinking all of you people here also joining the podcast who have been here for a while and who have had the pleasure of experiencing that, like you describe yourself, that it was like
Right.
dance R&B before it changed, and people tell about their stories. And I had just recently Gabriel Rodriguez here joining in the
Mm.
podcast, and he told his take on how the Latin house was, vibes was evolving
Right,
and all
right.
of these kind of things. And then when people mention about that, and I'm always saying that, oh my goodness, that I wish we could travel back in time sometimes.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. Because
Yeah,
it was a very interesting time for musically in the 80s. There was a
yeah,
lot of new genres popping up. You had punk rock, new wave, you had hip hop. And for us here, we were able to kind of like morph all of that together. And the reason why I think Larry Levan and the Garage is the most celebrated nightclub and with the most celebrated DJ is because he found a way to weave all that music, in one night.
yeah.
There was no boundaries when it came to music. It wasn't just house music and that's it. It was a hodgepodge of everything you can hear.
Yeah, I've heard stories, of course, also documentaries of him and how he introduced like really boldly and bravely new tracks, and he might be
Right.
playing them for several times in the evening just to get
Yeah.
people to educated on the new sounds and
Yeah.
all that. So yeah, I wish I
That's a
was.
lost art now. That's a very lost art, especially now when you have DJ sets that last 2, 3 hours. You
Yeah,
don't have one DJ for one night now. There's like five in one night, and everybody's playing kind of like 4/4 energetic music. You don't really have a chance to just express yourself how you would like to express yourself musically.
yeah. I think those things happen more or less nowadays mostly in the festivals, which are like more particular.
Yeah,
They have a long sessions if
right.
they offer that opportunity.
Yeah.
And uh, I assume that you are a fan of that kind of style, that you like to go
I
all
like
night long.
yeah, I'm what you call a journey DJ. So it's harder for me to play a 2 hour set than it is a 6 hour set.
Yeah,
Because with this 6 hour set, I can kind of, set the pace as to how I want things to go musically. Whereas with a 2 hour set and you have a DJ before you who's playing, all the bangers, you have to come just as energetic as, he was.
yeah.
And sometimes it's good, and then sometimes it's a bit unsatisfying.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
I can imagine that. I'm doing just very humbly DJing by myself, and well I don't get to play longer sets.
Mm.
But I still consider myself a journey DJ,
Yeah, that's
because
right.
I do want to, give that feeling of taking some kind of like vibe, what I was vibing to, and what I want to share then with people, and
Right.
make them vibe and dance and so on. But I absolutely understand the length there is definitely making also a difference, because you can really truly build and put different kind of phases there, and it's like
Hmm.
going through a symphony. Like when you go to listen to symphony, it has different parts, and it
Right, right,
goes. So that's the thing I
right.
would like to compare it to in that sense.
Yeah, that's right. You can't tell a story sometimes in 2 hours. It takes you
Well,
6 to 8 hours to tell the complete story sometimes.
yeah. What is now? As a matter of fact, now I'm gonna just be simply curious and ask. Do you remember what's the longest set that you ever performed live?
What song I performed live?
The longest set.
Oh, the longest set.
Yeah, sorry.
I want to say maybe like a 13-hour set in Japan.
Wow. Wow, wow,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, in Japan, they oh my God, they love these like start at midnight and end at noon type
Mhm.
sets. So yeah, the 13-hour set was the longest for me.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Sounds like really, really, really cool party. And, shout out to all the people clubbing in Japan. Keep doing that thing. Keep the
Yeah,
culture
yeah,
alive.
yeah.
Yes. Now, since you mentioned the songs, um, we are going to go a little bit more further from the DJing
Hmm.
to the artist Jihad Muhammad and music producer. So,
Yeah.
how would you describe your music? What is kind of your main elements in when you make your music? What would you
Um,
have there?
Soulful house, jazzy. I like a lot of elements, a lot of strings, a lot of emotion in the music. When I first started, I was kind of really like doing a lot of jazzy house
Mhm.
type of, instrumentals. I produced a lot of instrumentals before I started doing, vocals.
Yeah.
But when I'm working with a vocalist, I'd like, also the gospel jazzy style of house, with a bit of Afro, now that Afro's becoming a bit more popular. When people give me remixes to do, I'm kind of like, which side of Jihad do you want? The Afro side, the soulful side? And usually they're like, a little bit of both. So I'm
Yes,
like, okay, no problem. I'll give them a little bit of both. Yeah. But yeah, yeah, I like, jazzy type elements. I grew up listening to a lot of jazz and stuff, in the household. So um those are the elements that as an artist I'm drawn to. Even the music that I play. When I'm out, I'm drawn to a lot of jazzy instrumentals, jazzy vocals, percussive. It can be it could be like Latin jazz, African jazz, or even American jazz. I think they all come from the same root anyway. So I'm very attracted to that.
Yeah. It's beautiful, you know, jazz is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful
Yeah,
form of culture, form of art,
right.
uh, and it's a beautiful thing that you can combine that and those elements to your music, and house
Mhm.
music is beautiful in that sense because it allows
Yeah,
a freedom of combining different kind of genres, and you can kind of make it your own house version into a,
right, right,
you know,
right.
the and all that kind of stuff. So that's beautiful and rewarding, I think. And I think when picking the jazz itself, it also gives that beautiful timelessness to the
Hmm.
music,
Right.
which I think personally as an artist and songwriter, I think always that I kind of try to keep in mind that something that you know has a legs, you know, has a little bit legs
Yeah.
on it, so to say,
Yeah.
and can stand the test of time and maybe works, you know, that you can feel it and imagine it in different situations, and
Hmm.
that's what I always think that the best music really is, that it works somehow every time, and
Right. Right. I
so
mean, in this day and time now, a lot of music is being just produced electronically. So, you don't really get to hear the human element
yeah,
in them, you know. But the way I produce, I like to have people in the studio with me because, it's an art to know how to direct someone to play what you're thinking in your head. You want what you have in your head to be projected onto, the music that you're producing. So it's best to have somebody here with you, and you can have that interaction together to do that.
yeah, absolutely, and it creates that magic that no
Yes.
magic can, you know. You know, because there needs
Yeah.
to be that soul and spirit needs to be there.
Right, right, right,
Somehow
right.
comes through anyway. I truly, truly believe so. Um, Now, about the music production, when was it that you decided to go into making your own music?
I want to say hmm, around 2001, I believe. I had the MPC machine and I brought it and I didn't know how to use it. So I tried it and it just sat on the side for years. And then I started, I'm a DJ first and foremost. And so I wasn't really too interested in the production part of the music. I just love playing the music, not having to put it all together. But I then became interested, re-interested again around 2004,
Yeah.
2005. So a few of my friends had studios in the area, and I just said, "Hey, look, I got an idea. I want to do something like this." And you had to pay for the musicians and all that other stuff and studio time. And so once I got to hear the finished product, then I was like, all right, I love this thing. I'm going to go ahead and, invest in it. So yeah, I would say about 2004, I got reinterested in, you know, actually sitting down and producing house music.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm very happy that you did. And I know this
Me
as
too.
well.
Now I
It
am, yeah.
it is something like, you know, I think it's like I always call I call it as an appetite that you kind
Mhm.
of like always feel more and more hungry to. taste
Yeah,
something more, you know.
yeah, yeah,
Put a little
yeah.
bit flavor here and a little bit flavor there, and we mix it, and then it's like a cooking.
Right,
You never get bored, you never get tired, and you can always find something more new stuff to
right,
add.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, whether it's a,
Yep.
the melody line, whether it's an instrument, whether it's vocals, whatever
Hmm.
it might be. But that's the beautiful thing when making music, and
Right. Yes.
sounds sounds that you are in that beautiful, never-ending, exciting journey yourself. And I'm happy that 2004 got you into that path, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, then too, I was told that in order to further your career as a DJ, you had to do production.
yeah.
So that was also a motivator because, you never really know like how your music affects people,
Mhm.
you know, all over the world. And so as a DJ, I got to see that part of,
Yeah.
me traveling and, playing in front of people. But it's something different when somebody says, yo, the song you produced, oh my God, it was this and we love it. And, you're in a whole different country. So, you
Yeah.
know, it kind of makes you feel like, okay, I'm doing the right thing here.
Yes, it's like um, it truly is true when people are saying that music has a power to unite people, and I
Hmm.
think those are the moments that you described right there that are showing, for instance, that absolutely is true, and I think it's nice experience for you to really experience that when you put something out and your own creative take, and then you see how people are responding and what kind of
Hmm.
emotions does it rise in them, or what kind of memories it
Right.
rises in them. Because I don't know about you, but I have this, that when I first, for instance, travel to somewhere, I tend to remember the places with some particular song in mind.
Mm. Mm.
But I'm going to some place, and yeah, that place, if it was a song, it would be da 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 da, or
Right. Right.
okay.
Right.
So I think, actually, do you have that similar kind of feeling sometimes that you are?
I do. And there are places that I go to that I know I have to play this song that I did because
Yeah,
they're going to ask for it right off the bat.
yeah.
Um, if I go to Japan, you have to play the Leela James remix you did,
Hmm.
and I'm like, oh, I forgot about that song, but they ask for it faithfully every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you kind of can see that what are the tracks that you did that speak for particular audience, and
Right.
someone is
Right.
close to their local vibe and their culture, or world views, or whatever resonates with them. But it's
Hmm.
beautiful. It's a very beautiful thing.
Right.
Now, as you know, this interview is quite short, a snapshot kind of interview. We touched a little bit about your early beginnings there,
Hmm.
into DJing, and into music production. Now, the next question is related to today and near future. Could you share us something about your upcoming projects? What can we expect?
Well, I just finished a few remixes actually. I just finished something for DJ Spin, for his Quantize label. I just got the masters back, I think, last week, so that I'm, looking forward to that release. I am currently working on a Miranda Nicole remix that came out on my label, Movement Soul. That was done by a young lady from Boston named Susan Estera. I'm doing the remixes to that now. I have a Jill Scott cover song
Oh,
that Mark Francis did that's coming out as well within the next week or two. And I did some things for Making Moves out of the UK. Um, I did a remix for them, so that's coming out, I guess, whenever. I don't know the exact date, but Yeah, I've been kind of trying to hammer out a lot of,
Yeah.
original and remix projects together. As far as the DJing is concerned, I was in Toronto last week, and the week before that, I was in Washington, D.C. At the end of April, I'll be in Morocco.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, and
Have you ever been?
I've never been. No,
Oh,
no, it'll be my first time. Yeah, and then I have my UK tour coming up in May, along with I do a festival out here in Newark called Bang the Drum.
yeah.
Um, so that is every year. That'll be July 19th, and I'm trying to, wrap up all the details for that. But this summer is going to be a very, very busy summer.
Yeah, sounds like
Yeah.
that. Hey, people, if you have a chance to go there, please do. I wish I had the little rocket to join the party. Oh
Yes,
no, but it sounds very beautifully busy and active, and that's what it's all about.
yes, that's what it's all about.
We love the fact that you are able to share your music and passion for music through your releases, through your DJing, art of
Hmm.
DJing to the global community here. Now, however, before we go to the social media part, I would like to ask one question that if you think about your journey in house music so far, as a DJ or as an artist or both, what would
Hmm.
you say that are some kind of like a highlight moments for you so far? Of course, there are many to come, but so far,
Yes, well, wow. One of the highlight moments for me was Southport Weekender 2 years ago. And then 2 years ago, I also did Sunset Beat. And that was one of the highlight moments for me going to Croatia and, playing out there. Um, Japan, when I was going, was always a highlight moment. Just going out there every year and, just playing long sets was great. Um, Also doing my own events now, my own festivals, my whether it's an outdoor festival or if it's in a nightclub, we've had a lot of notable guests that, I brought to these events, because I like to pay homage to, you know, how it all started
yeah,
and the people who started it, before I even, became serious, into DJing and production. So I like to invite those people to, play with me or
yeah.
perform with me, at the events that I do. So um, I'm very much immersed in this culture of house music, you
Yep.
know, and everything, yeah, how it started to where it is now, and what we can do to further it. I'm very, very into that.
I totally understand it and I appreciate it and I think it's super important since house music has been around more than 40 years and it was
Yeah,
around before that but with a
right.
different name as well. It has a
Ouch.
long roots and it combines different kind of genres of music as well and it's also a part of big part of American history, music history,
Hmm.
musicology, and
Hmm.
it started to be a part of the global musicology as well. I mean, I got introduced to house music around 1986 already by hearing
Mm.
first European wave, house tracks on radio with some really brave and bold DJs there, and I'm
Right.
happy that I had that chance. So it has been there for a long time now, but hasn't really received that level of appreciation yet as it
Mm.
truly deserves. So I think you are doing an important work there. I have been talking here with George Deep House Aiken also for his
Yeah,
role
yeah,
in promoting the house music culture and appreciation, and DJ Dan Dan and
yes.
so on. And I think it's just marvelous what you are doing. You are keeping that culture, alive, and you are recognizing the history and roots of it, and bringing it up front for people to to be able to experience it, and that's just absolutely beautiful.
Mm,
And I thank you for that. I
you're
had
welcome. Thank you.
yeah, I had a comment. I'm just wondering that how on earth he has time for doing all that. I mean, he DJs, he makes some music, and then he hosts the festivals and his label. And I mean,
Uh,
do you come in three or four also?
yeah, it's a lot of work. You have to
It is.
prioritize your time and, put certain days to the side for studio production. And, every Saturday I'm doing like my Twitch show, for 2 to 3 hours. And, so the time has to be divided up, and the schedule is kind of tight, but, I make it happen. I make it work.
Exactly. Doing what you love. Doing
Yes.
what you love and what
When
is
you do
your
what you love, it doesn't even feel like, a job. It's just like, okay, I gotta go do this mix real fast. Okay, I'll do that. You
you
know.
find time and place and space, all the necessary
Yeah,
things. That's
yes,
absolutely.
yep.
Uh, well, if now somebody wants to find you in social media, where would be the best place to find you, so to say?
Well, because I think I'm the only Jihad Muhammad in house music, right? They can find me on Facebook,
Mhm.
Instagram. Uh, Between those two, I'm always checking my Facebook and always on Instagram. So I catch all the messages sent to me. Every Saturday, I'm on Twitch, uh, .tv/Jihad MU, from 12 to 3 if I'm not busy out touring somewhere.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So I'm easy to find. I'm easy to find.
Yeah. And I have to say that you are also very wonderful and easy to talk to. So
Thank you.
I'm really, really blessed that you took time, once again, that you took time to do this little interview with me and share on your house music journey. And I wish you all the best, many, many, many more years to come, enjoying doing this thing called house.
Yes.
Uh, and sending you many blessings and love straight from Helsinki, Finland to
Oh, thank you. Thank
you.
you. Thank you. And I'm honored to have been here to do this because when you first reached out, I said, IDB wants me? Okay, all right. Let me get myself together. So thank you for having me here.
Truly a pleasure. All right, and people check out all those events that were mentioned here, for instance, and the releases. Stay tuned for those, and also I'm gonna make a little mini mix inspired by our featured guest, Jihad Muhammad
Ah,
himself.
thank you. Thank you.
And it will be available for listening um, at hear this at radio on my site called High Vibe Radio by Heidi B. So it will have a lot of beautiful tracks from you, inspired by you. A lot of
Mm,
obviously jazzy, soulful, and a bit rhythmical things
nah.
interviewed there, not for 5 hours that I'm afraid, but I said maybe mix.
All right.
I leave that to you, okay?
Yeah, yeah, leave that to me.
All right. But I wish you a happy weekend, and
Thank you.
stay tuned for all the beautiful releases. And again, thank you and bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye bye.